how do you negotiate your salary, right? So there are some tips which I feel uh, they work. But let me start with a disclaimer that the tips that I'm going to give you are not something that I have used myself in my own career, and I made quite a number of mistakes in the past, but I've learned from them. But I have learned from many of my colleagues, former colleagues, friends who are in this particular field, and I've learned from there what actually works. And sometimes I feel the people who actually are new in this field do not know much about the compensation, average compensation level, and how to sort of negotiate it a bit better. So somebody who is already a seasoned professional and has been in the industry for quite a number of years would already know what are the things that work. But for someone who is new, wouldn't know much about how to negotiate his or her own salary. Even people who have like 4, 5, 6 years of experience, many times they don't know much about how to negotiate salary properly. In any career, it may not be just career in finance, but in any career, that's important to know. Nowadays, you have a lot of things available on the social media, but you can also question some of the more hyped stuff. So I like to give a bit of realistic picture as to what are the things that you should keep in mind as a fresher, as someone who is just a beginner, somebody who has less than 3 4 years of experience in the industry, or someone who is just fresh out of university and just looking for a job. What are the things actually work? First of all, you have to be careful about the industry, right? So which industry you're going to be applying at, right? Not in all industry pay exactly the same amount. I mean, it differs a lot. Large commercial banks would pay differently compared to smaller retail banks. Okay, new age fintech firms, the pay structure would be completely different. I mean, they may not pay you a lot of money in fixed salary, but they will give you stock options. You almost never get stock options in large commercial banks. So these are some of the things you need to know, right? If you work as an investment firm or an asset management firm, there are number of things that you need to keep in mind. Okay, so first is to understand the industry very well and talk to some people who already work in this industry or who have worked in this industry, either from a friend circle, family members, your seniors from your universities, or you can also talk to random people on LinkedIn just to know a bit about the industry itself, right? Reading about the industry also is important. What happens is that in the career graph is also a bit different. If you compare, let's say, large banks with investment firms, and I'm going to talk about that, and that's the reason why it's important to know the industry. As an absolute beginner, you normally get, on average, I'm not saying that this is true everywhere, on average you get great salaries in large commercial banks. The starting salaries are quite good, but the growth prospects may not be that great, right? So the large industry, commercial banks, they actually can pay a lot of money. So you have a lot of bargaining power there. You really can bargain a lot. uh, if you're going for jobs at HSBC, Citibank, JP Morgan, that kind of firms. But the growth prospects may not be that good because there are already thousands of people working over there. It's a bit crowded. It's very large. There are problems with the large organization. Like any large organization, is that the growth opportunities are not as great as what you will have in smaller organizations. But for example, in fintechs, if you work at fintech, smaller fintech firms, like you work at Stripe and all that, right? As a quant, as someone who is going to be working as a quant analyst as a fintech firm, it's a payment company, or it's a small wealth management company using tech, using AI, ML. They might not be able to pay you a lot, but the career growth can be very, very steep, and you can grow really, really fast, and you could make really good money over there. So the starting salaries may not be great, and you may not have good bargaining power. So it's pointless to compare a small fintech, even if it is well funded, to that of JP Morgan City. Now JP Morgan City may be paying you extremely good salaries, whereas not all fintech firms, which are startup firms, who have been there for just last 10, 15 years maybe maximum, they won't be able to pay that kind of money. They will pay you, stock options and so on. That might turn out to be a rewarding offer, but you have to have, you have to give time for that, right? You have to work for a couple of years before you can encash the stock that you get. But the career growth is normally much better. So understanding of the industry is very important. If you work in the investment and trading side, right, it's very difficult to enter that field unless you have really good CV, right? You have from top universities. It's normally not easy to enter that field itself. There's a huge entry barrier, and if they hire someone, they pay a hell lot of money, especially the big ones, the big trading firms, asset management firms. They run after top quality talent, and they pay so much money that you don't even have to negotiate, right? But it's not that easy to get those jobs. But how about the others, smaller investment firms, smaller trading firms, which are not probably as big as the large US trading firms or asset management firms like the BlackRock and the Two Sigma and all these kind. But imagine you have a smaller boutique trading firm out of Paris or out of London or out of Mumbai, right? They're not as big. They don't have a great brand name, but if they may not be able to pay great money, but they're giving you a chance to work in that kind of environment where you'll be writing code, developing models for trading purposes or for investment purposes. That experience will be invaluable. Later on, you might get into BlackRock or Two Sigma or any of these large US trading firms and make really crazy sum of money. But if you start comparing the offer given by these boutique firms with that of large commercial banks, it won't be that great. But the opportunities, the future opportunity would be very, very different in those smaller boutique firms, because you really could learn extremely technical stuff in about a short period of time, and then that would add to your CV, and your that will have a really good compounding effect on the future compensation that you will be making. Okay, so understanding of the industry is very important. Therefore, connecting with people in the industry is very important. uh, I think some of the things that which have really worked for me. One thing is that you always ask for you always ask for details about the compensation provided in that organization to the headhunters or the HR manager, right? Instead of saying what your expectations are, just ask how much they are willing to offer, right? And be transparent about it. It also differs a bit between Europe and the US. In Europe, I think the transparency level is bit better, but what I've heard, it's in the US, it's not that clear as to what the company is willing to offer you. But in the UK, that's what I've seen. It's very clear. Like every time you will be reached out by a headhunter, they will tell you as to what would be the expected salary, and you can negotiate on that a bit. But there is not a lot of room for negotiation after that. So very important to ask. The second point I would say is that get details from the HR or headhunter whoever has um, reached out to you. Okay. Third tip is that is important to also uh, you know uh, negotiate. I mean, most people don't negotiate, thinking that I'm a fresher. I'm just looking for a job, so I don't have any bargaining power. So there's what's the point in negotiating? I think that's a very wrong way, right? Once you get selected, right, there is no way the company will say no to you, because you already have been selected. You are already liked by the hiring manager. So you have a bargaining power. You have quite a bit of bargaining power, and you can use that to negotiate salary, even as a fresher, even with someone with less number of years of experience or no experience. You still have the bargaining power to negotiate a salary, right? In some places, if you come from top universities or institutions, you have even higher bargaining power. Use that. Like I've seen in Asian countries, people do that, but in European countries and US, people don't do that much. But yeah, let me tell you that that's also possible. You could do that, but regardless of where you have studied and what qualification you have, you still can negotiate your salary. If you have certifications, right, like CFA and FRM and that kind of certification, you have done actual science certification, you have done CQA, if you have done any certification which is professionally recognized, you can also ask for a raise because of that, right? Not many employers will entertain that, but there's nothing wrong in trying. Okay, so just negotiating, right? Just do it, just negotiate it. I mean, you don't have to be an experienced professional to have bargaining power. That's the point. I used to be a fresher. I had that in mind. In fact, I was told by my own seniors that you won't have bargaining power until you have like 4 5 years of experience. That is complete nonsense. You can bargain money, right? Also, it's important to know actually in which area uh, of quant finance where you have the highest demand. There is shortage of employees and so on. I remember when I was graduating, during that time, the U.S. Federal Reserve had given quite a bit of work to many of these large size banks in the US, and they were sending insane amount of work to India. And the professionals, the quant professionals, who are really skilled at US related modeling work, okay, modeling work, risk modeling work related to the requirements from Federal Reserve, they were in big demand, in the industry, and they were able to, and the people who are working in that area were able to negotiate salary regardless of the experience level. Even the ones who have worked for, let's say, 1 year 6 months, they were negotiating salary and getting a pay raise of 60%, 70%, in some cases like the double of your previous salary. That happened to me, by the way. I got a raise which was almost like twice of my previous pay, and not because I negotiated a lot. It's just that that was the level of demand back then. Okay, so that's something to remember. Third thing is that some people don't negotiate thinking that maybe the offer will be taken back. It never happens, right? I have been a hiring manager, and I can tell you that I would have loved to increase the salary package of someone, but it's just that these guys didn't even ask for it, so there's no point in doing that, right? So make sure that you do not lose the chance of negotiating, because after you work, right, it's very difficult to negotiate your salary again. You can do that before joining, before getting the offer, before signing the offer, signing the contract. You can easily do that, but after that it's a lot more difficult. Okay, and if you're going to be working at this the private funds, which are proprietary funds, there I think it's quite possible to increase your salary even after joining there, because if you really do well, right, if you have a P&L impact, and most quants do not have P&L impact, profit and loss impact, right? If you work at large commercial banks, you will probably never have a direct P&L impact. Maybe in some places, if you was a trading quant, maybe, but other than that, you will not have. But if I did work as a trading firm or an asset management firm, you will have a P&L impact. That means you can directly increase the profit of the organization, and there it is easy to negotiate your salary after even joining the firm, right? But not at commercial firms and insurance firms and so on, or banks. So for in trading asset management, don't worry too much about you know the starting salaries. I would say, I think you don't have to negotiate too much. I think you can negotiate even after that. But if you're working as commercial banks and insurance firms or consulting firms, even, make sure you do that. Okay. What else? If you're going to be working at consulting firms like big four consulting firms, EY, KPMG, those firms, I think they don't pay that well to freshers, people who are absolute beginners. Okay. So don't worry too much about that. You go and work there for a couple of years, do well. If you do well, you get promoted, and then you can negotiate your salary. Okay, but doesn't mean that you will not negotiate at all. That's never the case. In some job profiles, you can always negotiate, right? It's also good to do some side projects during your studies, so that if the side projects that you have done during your studies are very similar to the real world projects, you can also sort of argue that you have done some work on the side, and it's you will be up to the speed quickly, once you join. That gives you a bit of bargaining power and you can negotiate your salary. Certifications, as I've already said, really plays a role. If you have done some good certification, industry recognized certification, that also you can do to negotiate your salary very well. Okay, make sure that you understand the salary structure. Okay, what is the fixed component, what is the variable component, how what are the conditions of the variable component or the bonus, whatever you call it. If you have stock option, make sure that you understand the stock option. In some cases, the stock options conditions are so complicated that you may not get the best benefit. Okay, so understanding of these things very important. If you are not familiar with these things as someone who is just starting out in your career, it's good to reach out to professional career counselors or HR people because that's their job. They do it on a daily basis. Just pay some money, a little bit of money. They will help you out with everything. It really goes a long way, let me tell you. It's a good investment just to reaching out to a working professional in this field or an HR professional or a career counselor who can help you with this. In fact, there are dedicated people who are also nowadays helping you with salary negotiation and everything. Nothing wrong in taking their help. They really can help you well. I mean, if you can take help of a mortgage advisor, or you can take help of a real estate advisor while buying a real estate, why not take help from a career advisor or career counselor while going for an interview or going for a salary negotiation? All right, that's something I want to discuss. Any questions? As always, let me know in the comment section. Thanks as always for watching. See you.